Hi, everybody. I'm a revolutionary. I'm going to start by talking to you about one of my earliest memories. I was born in an English pub. But my earliest memory is actually sitting, I'm not quite sure how old I was, but I remember sitting on the stairs in the dark, crying, listening to my parents in one of their megawatt fights. And my grandmother, bless her heart, came to sit next to me on the stairs. And I said to her, "Why do they do this?" And she said, "I think it's because they love each other, dear. But nobody knows what that means." I had a very absolute response to this. I said, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that love thing." And so she just smiled. And of course I grew up, and like everyone else, I fell in love. Because what we know from the new science of love is that this need for intimate connection, for belonging, to have someone who will come when you call, is the single most powerful motivational force in our brain. So I fell in love, and I enjoyed being swept away, and then at one point, didn't take too long, before I sunk into the same morass of confusion as everybody else. After all, where's the manual? There's no manual for this. If there's something mysterious about love and it has no rhyme or reason to it, how do you know how to shape it? You fall in, you fall out. That's just the way it is. Huh? I became a psychologist. And I thought I was a pretty good psychologist. I felt pretty confident until the day that the first distressed couple walked into my office and sat down and started to fight. I was fascinated. And nothing I did made any difference. And I was just as helpless as when I was sitting on the stairs as a child. So I did what you do when you're a graduate student. I dashed to the library. And I looked in the library, and all I found were all these pronouncements from poets and philosophers and people all through the ages that romantic love is a mystery. You know, it's some sort of strange, semi-psychotic mix of sex and sentiments that nobody can understand. So I did what it sort of said in the books, which is I tried to get the couple to be nicer to each other. But they didn't want to do active listening. They pleaded and shrieked and cried and fought and protested and wept, or even worse, they shut down into this sort of fortress of silence that I couldn't do anything with. I was completely failing. So I got my little video camera and I started filming all my sessions, and I started watching them. For some reason I got fixated. I thought, I am going to understand this drama. I am. And as I watched it, gradually I began to see this amazing circular dance where one person's steps inevitably led to another set of steps from the other person. And I also began to understand that it was the emotional signals that were happening which were the music of this dance. I also started to understand that it wasn't really a power struggle. It was all about some sort of pain about the loss of connection and the desire to connect. That was 25 years ago, and that was just the beginning. What I want to tell you is at this point that scientists have cracked the code of love. It is not a mystery anymore. We understand it to the point where for the first time in human history, we can now intelligently shape our most important relationships. This is a revolution. This revolution's been going on for a while, though, because it started 40 or 50 years ago with people studying bonding, and that original bonding research has revolutionized parenting in our society. It's revolutionized the way we see our children. We understand now that a child needs emotional connection the way they need oxygen. And in the last 15 years, we've really started to apply that bonding research to adult love relationships and learn to shape them. This is an urgent issue. We rely on our romantic relationships for emotional connection and support in a way that no human society has ever done. We don't live in small little villages with the people we grew up with anymore. And all the research says that we are getting lonelier and lonelier. A quarter of the people in the US say they have no one to confide in at all. The other issue is that for the first time, our human family stands or falls on feelings of affection. It is disastrous for all of us to continue to define romantic love as a mystery. We have many of us just giving up and deciding you can't find love, and once you find it, it's going to disappear on you. We need a grounded theory of love like we never have before. The good news is that we have one. So now when a couple come to see me, I do not feel helpless. Our research that we've been doing over the last 25 years says that 75% of the couples that come to see us will end up not just being more satisfied, but will tell us they have repaired their relationship. They are closer, they are more intimate, they're able to change their sex life, they're able to forgive each other for things like affairs, and if you check up on them 2 or 3 years later, they'll tell you that they are still happy. This is huge. Most interesting of all is our recent study where we showed for the first time that we can take distressed couples who do not trust and feel safe together and help them move into a more secure bond. And part of that study I'm going to share with you is we also showed that when you do that, you change people's brains. Specifically, you change the way their brains respond to threat. So just imagine, you come into this crazy research project. You have to come for 20 sessions of therapy. You have to fill in hundreds of questionnaires. You have to fight while somebody watches you and codes everything you say. And you have to lie in a brain scan machine while somebody shocks you on your ankles. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but there you go, people did it. Okay. What is really interesting is that before therapy, let's take Anna, for example. I'm going to talk about Anna a lot in this talk. Before therapy, when Anna laid in the brain scan machine, whether she laid there alone, whether a stranger came and held her hand, or whether her partner held her hand, when she saw the great big X that came up in front of her face that told her that she might be shocked on her ankles, her brain looked like the 4th of July, okay? Her brain was all red, okay? And if you asked her if the shock hurt, she said, yes, it was really painful. After therapy, after bonding conversations, when Anna laid alone in the machine, or when the stranger held her hand, her brain still lit up like the 4th of July, and she still said the shock hurts. But this time, when Sam, her partner, held her hand and she saw the big X, nothing happened. No sign of alarm. Calm brain. She's just resting. In fact, there were some little blue pieces, and I said to my colleague, what do the little blue pieces mean? And he said, it means she's not dead, Sue. I said, oh, good, this is good. So this is really, really interesting. We were fascinated by this. We didn't expect this extreme result. We didn't expect to see this incredible impact. And if you asked her if the shock hurt, by the way, she said, no, the shock doesn't hurt, it's just uncomfortable. So what happened here? What is necessary when you're working with a couple? What is necessary? How do you change a relationship so that you get this kind of effect? Well, in about 9 studies, we've had a look at that, and we think we know. So Anna comes into the last session and she says, you know, this has really changed our relationship. This has really changed things. When I came in here, I was angry all the time, or I was upset, and I felt really alone, and we fought all the time. But now, we're different, we can have our differences, we can fight, but I know that I can turn towards him, and we can create this amazing sense of connection. I know if I need him, he's there. Anna is talking about what we call an ARE relationship, where the main question in love, are you there for me, is a resounding yes. A, are you accessible to me? Can I reach you if I need you? R, will you respond to me? Will you respond to my needs? E, will you give me attention? Will you tune in to me and stay close? We are talking about a very special kind of emotional presence. Love is not just an intoxicating mixture of sex and sentiment. Love is an ancient, wired-in survival code that is wired in by millions of years of evolution, that is designed to keep the people that we depend on close to us. So when Anna lies in the machine and Sam reaches in and holds her hand, his emotional presence, is a powerful safety cue for Anna's brain, powerful enough to turn off pain and fear. That's really interesting. And when I saw those results as a researcher, it also had an impact on my brain. My brain was flooded with dopamine, and it had a sort of reaction like, yes. So if we look at couples over time, we can see there's two tipping points. There's two pivotal moments when relationships move into alienation, towards alienation, or they move towards more secure connection. This is fascinating, these tipping points, and you can see them when a couple come into your office. The first tipping point is when somebody realizes that connection, safe emotional connection, has been lost. The second tipping point is when somebody realizes that they long for this emotional connection and they want to deepen it and reach and experience this bond. How you put your feet at these moments determines how the dance unfolds. Let's look at the first one, loss of connection. In loss of connection, your brain goes into the fear of rejection and abandonment. That's not a choice, by the way. It's wired that way. You can choose what to do next, but your brain goes into fear of rejection and abandonment. And that is very difficult for us to handle, and we don't have that many ways of handling, actually. We often go into just tunnel vision and decide that our partner is the enemy. And then all kinds of things spin out from that. If we can keep our emotional balance, however, we can look and we can see the big picture. But most of us, at least some of the time, even clever psychologists who study this sort of stuff, some of the time anyway, get stuck in negative cycles that just start to play out. The most popular one in North America is demand and withdraw. It goes something like this. You don't talk to me. How can I live with somebody who doesn't talk to me? I poke you and poke you and poke you. Anything to get a response from you. You know, if you're not going to talk to me, I'm going to leave you. Is that right? Well, who can talk to somebody who's angry all the time? Have you noticed that you're angry all the time? So if you're going to leave me, that's fine. Note, angry criticism cues stonewalling and dismissing. Dismissing and stonewalling cues angry criticism. It goes round and round and round. It can go round forever. The content, surface content, doesn't matter. People tell you we got divorced over the laundry list. No, they didn't, not really. They're just not used to seeing this pattern in the dance. They don't understand the impact they're having on their partner. And they don't know what we know in science now, which is that the pain of rejection from someone you depend on registers in your mammalian brain in the same place and exactly the same way as physical pain. They are both danger cues. So from the point of view of your brain, stepping on a nail and hearing criticism from someone you love, there really isn't that much difference. What do successful couples do in this situation? What successful couples do, I think, if I'm watching people in therapy, is first of all, they start to get that they're really scaring each other. So they start to get that, and they start to be able to slow down and tune into what's happening on each other's faces, and they start to be able to help each other step out of the dance and soothe each other. What does that look like? Well, let's take an example for Anna. Anna might say, wait a minute, we're getting into one of those things. We're getting into one of those spirals that we talk about in Sue's office. I was just trying to reach for you, but I think maybe I started wrong. Maybe I'm not doing it right. I think maybe you heard criticism. I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want to push you away. Can we start that again? Can we start that again in a way we can feel safe? Because I really want to talk to you right now. That is an invitation to emotional safety. That is an invitation to be able to get your emotional balance so that you can move in the dance together. It helps a lot for you to get that balance if you have a memory of the second conversation, what we call the hold me tight conversation. If you have a positive memory of needs met, of longings met, of fears soothed, it helps a lot. The hold me tight conversation is where people turn and deliberately try to reach for each other to create a positive bond. And in our research, this conversation predicts success at the end of therapy and happiness years later. It also predicts how people deal with stress. We've talked a lot about stress here, but I want to point out that stress faced all by yourself is a qualitatively different thing to deal with than stress faced when somebody is standing beside you, holding your hand, and has your back. It's qualitatively different. So, hold me tight conversations carry a charge. They are powerful enough to light up the New York skyline. And what we know about events that have this kind of emotional charge is that your brain holds on to them, they persist in memory, and processes them intensely. Hold me tight moments, for me, watching hundreds and hundreds of couples, what strikes me about it is, it's not the first moments of infatuation that are really so important in love. These hold me tight moments are as true as love gets. What do they look like? In hold me tight moments, people risk. And so you could say they need to find their courage for that. In hold me tight moments, people risk. They're aware of their fears and they risk, and they're open to their partner, and they tell their partner their fears, they tell their partner their needs, and they ask their partner to meet those needs in a way that pulls that partner close. When the partner responds, they can let that in, and then they can respond to the partner. This kind of interaction turns on oxytocin, the bonding hormone. What does it look like? Anna turns to Sam and says, it's really hard for me to talk to you about this. Some part of me doesn't want to. Some part of me says I shouldn't even feel this way. And you'll think I'm immature or needy. But the fact of the matter is, there's some part of me that gets really scared. I get really scared because at moments like this, I say to myself, am I really the one you choose? Am I really the person you want? I'm not as fast as you. I'm not as smart as you. Maybe I worry that I'm just not good enough for you, I get scared and I need to know, I need you to reassure me when I feel this way, that I'm your precious one, I'm the one you want. Sam's eyes fill with tears and he stands up and he holds his wife. When we're talking about this, let us be clear, since we are talking about something that's about health. This is also about health. All the evidence says, go to the gym, meditate, but learn to reach for the people you love. All the evidence on health says that when you have at least one secure connection like this, you are healthier on almost every level you can think of. Your immune system works better. Your blood pressure is lower. You're less likely to have a heart attack and stroke. If you have a heart attack and stroke, you're more likely to recover. In a mental health level, you're less likely to get depressed. If you find yourself in a traumatic situation, you're much less likely to develop post-traumatic stress disorder. You are more confident as a person. If you're a young career woman, you reach your career goals faster because you know that somebody has your back. Somebody has your back at home. So you're more confident. What is all this saying? Nothing grows people like love. When we are loved, we blossom. The message of evolution is not the survival of the fittest. Darwin never even said that. The message of evolution is the survival of the most nurtured. And I can give you tons and tons of studies that show that. Love is the gift that keeps on giving even in loss. My just widowed friend says to me, "Did you see the snow the other morning?" You know, he loved the snow. And I talk to him sometimes and I said to him, "Mags, look at the snow. Look at the big, soft, slow flakes that are coming down all over this city." I still have him in a way, you know, because the thing is, he loved me. And I still feel loved. And that changes everything. We are not just social animals. We are homo vinculum. We are the one who bonds. We must honor our nature and use this new science, use it to shape our love relationships. All the old fairy stories are true. Love is powerful magic. But there is a beautiful little twist that science can add to those fairy stories. Love is powerful magic. But now, you can be the magician. And like my friend says, that changes everything. Thank you.